You have probably felt it before. That tight, heavy, stiff feeling at the back of your neck. It shows up after a long day at your desk, after staring at your phone. Or sometimes right when you wake up in the morning. Most people assume it means their blood pressure is up. They reach for the blood pressure cuff, take an extra pill, rub their neck, and move on. But today I want to tell you something that most people, including many with diagnosed hypertension, have never been told. Your neck tightness is most likely not caused by blood pressure. And more importantly, it may be your body warning you that something completely different, something much closer to your brain, is becoming blocked. Let me clear up the misunderstanding first. The belief that tight neck equals high blood pressure is deeply ingrained. But the medical evidence for a direct causal link is actually quite weak. Hypertension is famously called the silent killer, precisely because it usually produces no symptoms at all. Blood pressure can be dangerously high while you feel nothing, and neck tightness can be severe, while your blood pressure is perfectly normal. Automatically blaming blood pressure for neck tension can lead you to miss the real source of the problem. So what is the real cause? The most important thing to understand today is that two specific structures in your neck, the sternocleidomastoid muscle and the suboccipital muscle group, sit directly alongside the two most critical blood vessels supplying your brain. When these muscles become chronically tight, they do not just cause local pain. They can directly affect blood flow in those vessels, and that is why chronic neck tension can be a warning about your cerebrovascular health, not simply your blood pressure. The sternocleidomastoid muscle, or SCM, runs from just behind your ear down to your collarbone. You can feel it right now by turning your head to one side and pressing two fingers into the side of your neck. The prominent rope-like structure that stands out is your SCM. Running directly behind and alongside this muscle is your carotid artery, the vessel responsible for delivering 80% of the blood supply to your brain. Clinical research has found that when the SCM develops chronic tension, and what are called trigger points, dense knotted areas within the muscle, where blood circulation has become impaired, this can correlate with changes in carotid artery function and increase the risk of carotid atherosclerosis. Pressing on these trigger points and finding tenderness is emerging as a clinically relevant indicator worth taking seriously. The suboccipital muscles are four small muscles tucked right where your skull meets the top of your neck. Place your fingers at the base of your skull and feel for the slight indentation there. This is where the suboccipital group lives. Running directly underneath these muscles is the vertebral artery, which supplies blood to the back of the brain, including the cerebellum and brainstem. When the suboccipital group becomes chronically tight, it can compress the vertebral artery and reduce posterior cerebral blood flow. This condition is called vertebrobasilar insufficiency, and its symptoms are distinctive neck stiffness, combined with dizziness, blurred vision, ringing in the ears, and a headache that spreads from the base of the skull up and over the top of the head. When either the carotid artery or the vertebral artery becomes narrowed or blocked, the consequences are serious. Carotid artery stenosis is a direct cause of ischemic stroke. Vertebrobasilar insufficiency can cause transient ischemic attacks and full posterior strokes. Research estimates that between 5 and 10% of adults over 65 have significant carotid stenosis, often without realizing it. The muscle tension overlying these vessels may be one of the body's earliest available signals that something is changing in the vascular territory beneath. What causes these muscles to become so chronically tight in the first place? The answer is forward head posture, and it is nearly universal in modern life. Right now, check your own head position. Is your head in front of your shoulders? When we look at phones, sit at computers, or drive, the head drifts forward almost automatically. What this does structurally is alarming. The head weighs between 4 and 5 kilograms when balanced directly over the spine. But for every 2.5 centimeters the head moves forward, the effective load on the neck muscles doubles. At a 15-degree forward tilt, the load becomes 12 kilograms. At 30 degrees, 18 kilograms. At the 45-degree angle most people use when looking down at a phone, the neck muscles are bearing over 22 kilograms. That is equivalent to carrying a small child. on top of your head all day, every day. Under this sustained overload, the SCM and suboccipital muscles develop trigger points. These are not simply areas of soreness. Trigger points generate what clinicians call referred pain, which means they create symptoms at locations far from the actual muscle. SCM trigger points can produce pain around the eyes, behind the ears, deep in the sinuses, and even mimic toothache. Suboccipital trigger points produce headaches that wrap over the top of the skull, and behind one eye, dizziness, visual blurring, and unexplained ear pressure. People who have been treating these symptoms with painkillers, eye drops, or sinus medications for years, without lasting relief, may find that the true source is in the muscles at the back of the neck. Now, how do you tell whether your neck tightness is a simple muscle problem or something that requires urgent medical attention? Here are the signals to watch for. Seek emergency care immediately. If your neck tightness is accompanied by sudden weakness or numbness in one arm or leg, sudden difficulty speaking or understanding speech, sudden loss of vision in one eye, the worst headache of your life, arriving suddenly, or sudden loss of balance and coordination. These are the classic warning signs of stroke or transient ischemic attack. And ATIA in particular carries a high short-term risk of progressing to full stroke. If these symptoms appear and then disappear, do not interpret the disappearance as good news. It is a warning that a larger event may follow soon. See a specialist if your neck tension is regularly accompanied by dizziness, especially dizziness that worsens when you turn your head in a certain direction. This pattern strongly suggests vertebrobasilar insufficiency. See a doctor if tightness radiates down one arm with numbness or tingling, as this suggests cervical disc compression. If you have hypertension, diabetes, high cholesterol, or a history of smoking, and you have recurring neck tension, getting a carotid artery ultrasound is strongly advisable. On the other hand, if your tightness reliably appears after long screen time and eases with gentle movement or heat, if it is worse in the morning and improves through the day, or if it responds clearly to stretching, it is most likely a posture and muscle management issue that you can address directly. Here are 4 effective techniques to release the tension and protect your vascular health at the same time. The first is the chin tuck exercise. Sit or stand in an upright position. Gently draw your chin straight back, as if making a very slight double chin. This is not tilting your head down, but moving it directly backward along a horizontal line. Hold for 5 seconds and release. Repeat 10 times, 3 sets daily. This single movement repositions the skull over the spine, relieves the mechanical overload on the suboccipital and SCM muscles, and can produce noticeable reduction in tension within a few days. The second is suboccipital release. Use both thumbs to apply gentle sustained pressure at the base of your skull, in the small indentations just below the occipital bone. Hold light pressure for 30 to 60 seconds. You may feel a dull ache, which indicates active trigger points. Do not press hard. The goal is sustained gentle contact, not forceful massage. Daily practice of this release, even 5 minutes before sleep, can significantly reduce the trigger point activity in this area within 1 to 2 weeks. The third is SCM self-massage. Gently take the SCM between your thumb and fingers, and slowly work up and down its length. Be very gentle near the middle of the muscle, as the carotid artery runs alongside it. 2 minutes per side, once daily, is sufficient. The fourth is alternating warm and cool application. Apply gentle warmth to the back of the neck for 15 minutes to increase local circulation and relax muscle fibers. Follow with 1 to 2 minutes of a cool towel or ice pack to stimulate vascular response. This alternating therapy, done once daily in the evening, produces measurable improvement in muscle tone within 7 days for most people. For those with existing risk factors, consistent aerobic exercise is among the most effective tools for preserving carotid artery health. Research shows that 30 minutes of walking 5 days a week measurably improves carotid artery elasticity and blood flow velocity. A diet low in saturated and trans fats, rich in omega-3 fatty acids from fish, nuts, and olive oil, and adequate hydration all contribute to reducing arterial plaque formation. And smoking is the most direct accelerator of carotid atherosclerosis available. If you smoke, stopping is the single most powerful thing you can do for your cerebrovascular health. If this video was useful, please subscribe and hit the like button. Share it with someone in your life who mentions neck tightness regularly. It may be more important than they realize. Leave your questions in the comments and see you in the next video.